What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast coming to you guys live. Another phenomenal Saturday evening. How was everybody doing? Shout out to everybody in chat right now. Once again, if you're brand new here, subscribe to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, you want to continue to enjoy the content, come back, holla at us, hit the like button. That does help the algorithm, helps more people see the show. But shout out to everybody watching right now. What's up, Talos? What's up, Steel? What's up, Sean Sue? How everybody doing, man? Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. We got a phenomenal show. And as you guys can see, we are down one amigo. Shout out to Fuzzy Belvedere. He is sitting this one out this week, but he will return next week. So shout out to Fuzzy. I know you might be catching this later on the recording, but shout out to you, brother. We greatly appreciate you. We'll see you next week, man. Have a phenomenal evening.
Traitor. His pay is getting cut after this.
Oh, my goodness. We got to renegotiate the contract.
Oh, yeah. If he's taking a day off, that's it, man. We got to cut pay. So
I'm sorry. Goodness.
I'm sorry. Can't have that stuff. PTK. Once you let it start happening, what's next? I take a day off, maybe I take two, and then Fuzzy's off for a week, and then what? What are we gonna do? So
we got to set an example here. As you can see, Asante,
y'all get paid.
We don't have a union. As you can see, Asante, we don't really...
y'all get paid for this.
You didn't know PTK's got the millions. You didn't know that? Oh yeah. He pays us handsomely for this. So.
But shout out to Fuzz, man. Appreciate you, brother. Once again, enjoy your evening, sir. We got a phenomenal guest. Once again, a returning guest. This man is not new here, but every time comes on the show, one of my favorite people to even just talk to in general. Fair, balanced, smart, intelligent, all those adjectives and nouns. I know he doesn't like that. I know it's a bit embellishing, but whatever, right? We're gonna go over the top. We're here at the Shop Podcast. Shout out to you, Mr. K. Asante from the Gaming Circle Podcast. Shout out to Everborn as well. My brother in Orange, my fellow Sonic fanatic. Shout out to Everborn. But Asante, how you doing, man? Glad to have you back. It's always fun to have you on. I know chat is lit, but how you doing, bro?
I appreciate that your show does not require cameras because you're making a black man blush with that intro. Thank you, sir. I appreciate being here. Yes. Thank y'all. No, it's great to be here, man. Thanks for the invite. Always appreciate being here, getting to chat with y'all, brothers. And of course, this is my chance to chat with Pong Soul, man. All I need now is Steel Rain, and we'll have the trifecta. It'll be beautiful. But
Steel's in the chat right now.
I do understand that Fuzzy's not here today, and I appreciate him sitting it out, and I will do my best to fill his very heavy Forza-ridden shoes. Thank you, sir.
Shout out to you, man. Once again, thank you, Asante. Like I said, all his information is in the description. Please go show support for him coming out, hanging out with us, spending a little bit of time, giving us this good content, man. So a shout out to you, Asante. Once again, you're always super fun to have on here. I get juiced every time we get an opportunity to have you on. So this obviously won't be the last time. So chat, show love, and shout out to you once again, Asante. Thank you, brother, for hanging out with us, man. But we're going to throw this over to the battery of the Shop Podcast. You guys know him, love him. No more words really need to be said. What's up, Paul?
Yes, sir. I'm here. K. Asante, I hate to spring this onto you, brother, without knowledge, but you can start researching right now. You need a breakdown of the latest Gran Turismo 7 update because Fuzzy normally gives that to us. So you got tonight. Yeah. So we need a breakdown of all the changes down to the technical level, nuts and bolts. Okay. So
this show is great and has been great. I will not be the one to derail it, sir.
No, what a fantastic week. We got news popping everywhere. Of course, excitement is high. We are 4 days away from the developer direct from Xbox, which is going to shed some light on some titles that we've been waiting on. It's going to be a fantastic show on Wednesday, so the hype levels are up. Of course, we got some not so great news this week as well. It seems that we just can't get on a streak of positivity. We always got to have something negative happening, and that certainly happened this week, and we're going to talk about that, obviously, about the layoffs and that kind of stuff. But overall, gaming-wise, all over the place. Again, Halo Wars 2, I've been scrimmaging against the AI, getting, some of my my fast twitchness that comes with RTSs when you got a power build back again. It's been interesting because I haven't picked it up in so long. So I've been rocking on that. Played some Monster Hunter Rise the other night.
Nice. I still got to download that.
Yeah, you got to download that in Game Pass, ready to rock and roll. Me and Steele took a trip to New Zealand. We spent an hour together across Xbox Live in character creation mode because both him and I are obsessive with our characters. So we were laughing a lot and figuring out what we were going to do. We got to play for a little bit, although trying to team up with the New Zealand Switch doesn't work too well usually. So we couldn't really pair up. We got paired up once, but when we tried to start a mission, it wouldn't work. So, loving what I'm seeing out of Monster Hunter Rise. Impressed. It does not look like a Switch port. They've done work. I think Steele pointed out correctly. It's probably the PC port that they used to bring it to Xbox Series and PlayStation 5. But what I'm seeing are impressive visuals. I mean, is it out of this world? No, of course not. You can still tell that it was originally made for the Switch. But at the end of the day, being able to play this game at 1080, 120, or 4K 60 are great options. And I was playing, of course, in the 120. I always do. I love the feel of 120. I'll take a little bit of blurriness out of my graphics to get that 120. Steele was playing at 4K 60 and was loving what he was seeing. So Monster Hunter Rise is definitely something you want to jump into. There's a lot to learn in Monster Hunter Rise. It is not a hack and slash game that you can just run into and think that you're going to just work your way through it. You do have to learn some skills, and you have to study. If you got a partner, somebody who does know Monster Hunter games, it does help. But great game, great addition to Game Pass. So I had some fun with that. What else did I do? Man, I've been. Oh my God, I picked up Jade Empire for $2 on sale. I said, what the hell? I haven't played Jade Empire in a long time. It was sitting there at $2. I was like, I gotta go back to this a little bit. So played some classic BioWare.
Nice.
Man, coming into peak BioWare. I won't say it was the ultimate BioWare, of course, but the talent level is undeniable what that team had back in the day. Because going back and playing an old game like Jade Empire, it still looks good. It's unbelievable backwards compatibility, what it does for some of these games. It looks yes, you can tell it's an old game, but it still looks great on my 4K OLED. And I was just having a blast with some Jade Empire again. So again, all over the place, played some from Persona 3 Portable. Did pop into that for an hour. Oh man, what a classic. What an absolute classic. It's like if you played Persona 4 Golden or you played Persona 5 Royale, you're getting the new version of Persona. Persona 3 takes you back to the PlayStation 2 era Personas and Shin Megami Tensei's. And so it's like so much less complicated, which I think a lot of people will appreciate than Persona 4 Golden or Persona 5 Royale. But the characters, the character development, the relationships, the school stuff, it's all still there. It's just simplified compared to the newer ones. And there's something kind of special about that when you go back to it. So the fact that I'm playing that on a modern day console, I never thought I would see the day. But PTK, we are in the golden age of gaming, brother.
Yes, sir.
And that's one of the reasons why I've got an example almost on a monthly basis as to why we're in the golden age, and Persona 3 Portable being on my Xbox Series X on my big screen is one of those. So been a good week of gaming, sir. We got a lot to get down and talk about tonight. So let's get to it.
Man, let's get to it. Shout out to everybody in chat right now. Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop podcast is live, man. We got a whole lot to cover this week. Shout out to Fuzz once again. We'll see you next week, brother. But let's dive right in. We had a phenomenal poll of the week once again. And if you're new here, you can partake in that. Follow me on Twitter. All of that information is down in the description below. Do a poll of the week on Monday. We talk about it here at the Shop Podcast on Saturday. This week we had almost 500 votes. So appreciate everybody for coming out, showing love to the poll of the week. Once again, if you want to participate in that, go follow me on Twitter. But we had a good one this week. Pretty interesting, pretty lopsided. I didn't think it would be this lopsided, but nevertheless, it happens from time to time. So the poll of the week this week was Starfield will be Xbox highest selling first party game this year. So just flat out, it will be highest. And I did account for Game Pass in my head, and it did show in the vote. So we had yes, 85% voted yes, no 15%. So it was an overwhelming yes. The Starfield is going to be Xbox's highest selling first party game. So I'm throwing this over to you, Asante. I don't know if you vote or partook in the poll this week. Even if you didn't, Are you yes, no, or do you go with the poll on this one, or are you with the minority?
I mean, of course, I voted in the poll. I always voted in the polls, man. Come on now. What do
Awesome.
you think?
Shout out to
Now,
you.
Pity
now,
votes. Pity votes. That's always giving you PTKs.
a
Pity
pity
votes.
vote. No, but I mean that to me, that's an obvious yes. Even with the fact that it will be on Game Pass day one, it will also be available on PC, and a lot of us PC folks, uh, 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 even though you have the option to buy to re-download it in the Microsoft Store, it's just that bad of an experience, just enough to kind of eke you towards Steam. So you're going to end up buying it there as well. If this is anything like God Howard's other offerings, this will be a game that's going to be played for many, 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 many years to come. Modding will be a big scene. Even if the experience on the PC on Windows Store is good, modding is just such an established norm on Steam. So for that purpose alone, it'll be the top selling game on Steam for quite some time, I suspect. So that idea is a no-brainer in my humble opinion.
Awesome. And that sounded easy. And once again, I thought this would be a little bit more difficult. I thought we'd get a little bit more, resistance on this one. Because I can't lie, Asante. I really, really did, just because of the Game Pass aspect. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't underrate the modding community as well. You know what I mean? That we do have to wait until that community develops. It does take a little bit of time once the game comes out, but they will be right on top of it. Like you said, I do think it will have a very, very, very strong Steam presence. Especially once we get a date. I do suspect once we get a date, that's gonna, that's gonna shoot up the list. As far as what it's gonna sell. So, do you think now? What else do you think would be contending with that? What's your other game, Asante? Before we move on to Pong, that you think is gonna contend for? We're not getting a COD this year, mind you. No Call of Duty this year. So, what else do you think is competing?
I mean, honestly, like the past couple of years has taught me that the next words I'm about to say are going to inevitably be wrong, because usually it's the stuff that you don't see coming that blows you over. You know what I mean? Shout out to Vampire Survivors and Marvel Snap.
Hell, Elden Ring. I mean, Elden Ring we saw
and
coming,
Elden
but
Ring,
we didn't
exactly.
know it was going to be what it ended up being.
Sure. No, yeah, I knew Elden Ring was going to be Elden Ring for those who like Elden Ring and the game of its type. I didn't know Elden Ring was going to be the game of its type for even those who don't like Soulsborne games. So,
So
that did take on a horse of a different color, as it were. But I will say, like, I can speak for myself personally. There's a small game, and as soon as I say it, people will laugh at me and say "small," ha ha ha. There's a small game that I've kind of kept my eye on. I've kind of kept an eyeball emoji on for the past, I would say, almost 5 years now. It's about 5 years now. About 3.5 to 4 years ago, an hour of footage leaked online, and I saw it, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I've been kind of keeping my eye on it ever since. And it's just kind of been in the back of my mind. And now, of course, everyone knows it, and it's coming on Game Pass, and I can't wait. And that is Atomic Heart, ladies and gentlemen. Atomic Heart. I can't wait to play that game. I'm hoping it is everything. I'm hoping it is the evolution of the BioShock formula that we clearly see. It's almost like they outshined, they outdid Judas a little bit, because now it's a little derivative, because this is the third time we're seeing it, BioShock being the first and Atomic Heart establishing itself as the second, right? So we'll wait to see how the game plays. But in my humble opinion, it is a triumph and an achievement, especially with a team that size. Of course, expect rough edges, all of that. Obviously, with its history and in the backdrop of all the unfortunate things happening and all that. But still, I think it will surprise people. I think it has a lot of deep systems. It's almost like it's from a team that is skilled enough to go there, but they're also naive enough not to have stopped when they should have. You know what I mean? They literally threw the kitchen sink at everything. Like, absolutely. It's a lot of it will be crazy and ridiculous, but I'm there to see the experiment go crazy on the screen. And it looks like they are really going deep in that direction. Weird, obscure. The first thing I thought of when I saw it was I think this is made by Kojima's weird Russian cousin. So I'm looking forward to seeing where all the twists and turns go with that game.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited for Atomic Heart. I mean, we've talked about that on this podcast. Shout out to Fuzz once again. We've been a big proponent. Me, Fuzz, Pong, day one. Obviously there's been a bit of reservation. There's some things that have happened, but ultimately
Yeah.
every time I see the game, it looks better. I haven't gotten off that train at all. Once again,
Yep.
check the receipts. You can go back on the podcast, go back on the individual videos. I've been on the same train. IGN just put out another video, their final review, and it was phenomenal. It looked phenomenal as well. They said it was a great game. I don't recall if they rated it. I don't think I watched all the way to the end, but up until what I watched, they said it was now obviously IGN is subjective, mind you, keep in mind where that's coming from. But I think the game looks amazing. So I think that could be
If
another
nothing
breakout.
else, IGN will show you what is on the screen, and you can make your own decision. From what I saw, it looked pretty darn good as well.
Same. Very much so. So I do agree as well. With that, with Starfield, once again, people say, it's going to have a huge effect on Game Pass. A lot of people are going to be able to play it there, but I still think just the fact that, I think it's going to be a special game, Asante. I really think it's going to be like the next step, and I think it's going to be big enough. I don't know, man. Go ahead, Pong. Where you at on this? Did you go with the yes on this? No.
What do you think?
I mean,
what do you think?
I don't.
Come on. How long have we been podcasting together now? Come on, brother. Well, what do you think? Of course, it's a yes to all the reasons that Kay Asante said. And I'll throw this in. There's certain games, as much as the clown show would have you believe that nobody on Xbox buys any games if they have Game Pass, there are certain games that show up in the Game Pass that are special enough that you do want to buy them, or that a large majority of people do like to buy them and own them physically. And we're not even talking about collector's editions, special editions, all that kind of stuff that we know Starfield will most likely have. This is one of those games. Bethesda titles are those games that people do like to own physically. Now, is it the same as it was, during the Skyrim time? No, of course not. We know most people have moved to digital, but I think Starfield, with the opportunity of them offering early access on top of it, like they did with Forza Horizon 5, and that was so successful, they can do that as well. You're going to get people buying this game. Okay, you really are. And then, like Kay Asante said, on the Steam side, on the PC side, it's going to be the same thing over there. So yeah, Starfield, out of the first party titles that we know of this year, and even I can't think of another one, Hellblade 2, even if they came out and said Hellblade 2 is coming this year, I still think Starfield's got a bigger audience than Hellblade 2 does. So yeah, Starfield's the game. Starfield could be the game of the generation. So yeah, a lot of people are going to buy this game when it launches, whether it's available on Game Pass or not. And so yes, this was an easy one for me as well, for sure.
Yeah, and I think ultimately it boils down to the potential of Starfield. I think potentially Starfield could be, like you said, it's the ceiling. What's the ceiling of Starfield, Asante? Right? Like what the ceiling is. I mean, we just talked about Elden Ring. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's the ceiling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the pedigree and the folks going into this, there are just like there are folks there are PC gamers, then there are World of Warcraft gamers, right? Mm-hmm. There are PC gamers, then there are Bethesda gamers. They are at that level of pedigree for a lot of folks. It may not even necessarily have to do with the subject matter that they're talking about or anything like that. It's the fact that Todd Howard has come out, put on the leather jacket, and is now talking about his next project. That's enough for most. There are people with tattoos on their bodies right now waiting for the next iteration of Todd Howard's dream. So, when it comes to anything that Bethesda proper makes, it's in a different stratosphere. So, and Microsoft knew that, and that's why all of this hype has been surrounding this project. So I don't foresee anything less than it being sold in the umpteenth iteration for years to come.
Oh, absolutely,
absolutely.
On the toasters of the future, your smart toaster will play it.
Smart toaster, yes,
absolutely.
And PTK, you asked for a surprise game from Kay Asante. I'll throw this one out there because he went with Atomic Heart. I'll go Stalker 2.
Stalker that 2 looked great too. I just saw some screenshots.
Yes, and if that launches, if it does, and the devs are saying it's going to make it this year, right? When that launches, A lot of people are going to buy that game out of pure support for that studio. And I think that is going to be a top seller on Xbox and PC for a long time to come. I think Stalker 2, especially if it hits, I mean, if it comes out and it's polished despite the hell that team has been through, literally, um, that is going to garner a lot of support where even with it dropping a Game Pass, people are going to pick up a copy in support of that studio on top of the Game Pass money that they already received just out of sheer love and understanding of what those empathy for what those people have gone through over there. So I think Stalker 2 is going to be a big seller for the type of game that it is. It's going to be a big seller no matter what at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely going to happen.
Stalker 2 is a good one
to
as
your
well.
point, Pong. So real quick, I know you've probably heard of this, but for your audience that may not know, you know exactly that. Mr. Boomstick, shout out to him. Him
Shout
and
out, Boom.
yes, he has an initiative going where him and his wife basically out of their own pockets started wanted to raffle off. I think it was 5-6 copies of the game. And it rallied the community, obviously, the story of the devs and what they're going through, just like Pong said, to the point where now the donation bucket has garnered up to 15 copies being raffled off when the game releases live. So, you know, it is a strong story that anyone can stand behind, in addition to the fact that the game is like looking to be absolutely awesome at the end of the day, too. So great story all around, you know.
And I think ultimately that's the most impressive thing out of it, right? Like out of all of this turmoil that they've had to deal with, is some very extraordinary situations, wouldn't you say, Asante? You know, that they've had to make this game out of, right? So,
I am stunned that the game actually is releasing. Like,
it's crazy,
why?
dude. It's insane.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Like that is insane that they've been able to get this amount of work done in this period of time during what they've been having to deal with. So kudos to them once again. The game looks better every time. I've said that about Atomic Heart as well as Stalker 2. And I think that's the thing that I keep going back to myself, particularly, is that I keep every time I see them, they look better. They look like they're that much more optimized, that much more crisp. The graphics, you know, look great. Cinematics look great. Like everything looks phenomenal. So the quality we're getting in Game Pass, the quality we're getting from these, you know, third party, you know, devs are amazing. You know, so I shout out to the poll of the week, man. That was a great poll. Great warm up. Shout out to let me just get some quick hellos in the chat. General Spartan, Tim Stanley, everybody hanging out. Sean too. What's up with you, brother? Once again, hit the like button. If you're first time here, hit subscribe as well too. Thank you for hanging out with us. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So let's go ahead and bring up this first topic. I wanted to get into something this week, if you don't mind, Pong, for me to start this week.
Nah, go right ahead, brother.
Okay,
it's your show.
Cool. Awesome.
At least for the time being.
For the time being, right? Until you uproot me. He's been working on this for a while. It's very public. That's the psychology of Pong So. He makes it very public that he's trying to get me out of here.
Huh?
He's trying to 50 Cent me, but I'm not gonna Ja Rule myself. I'm not.
It makes you a better host, PTK.
Yeah,
if I keep you on your toes. Let's
iron
go.
Sharpens iron, right? So no, but we don't. Shout out to chat, man. They love you, man. I love you, Pong. Appreciate it, bro. But so we're gonna get into something too, and I know you're gonna enjoy this, Pong, right? So this is gonna be right up your alley because I want to get back into some Starfield stuff. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about Starfield. We're going to
hate talking about Starfield. God,
oh my goodness! The hell is going? Anyway,
yeah, go.
Anyway, let's get into it. I want to talk a little bit about Starfield. I want to talk about the event, the upcoming event. You know, maybe talk about when we're getting the event. Kind of wanted to get more so into the expectations of the event. Like, how do you think the show should go, and like, what would you show if you're trying to get people excited about Starfield? So just to frame everything, chat, if you're chiming in, you're not aware, we're supposed to be getting a standalone Starfield event soon-ish. Now, I don't know what time frame that means, and I'm sure KSI will tell you elaborate on that. February. You will as well. You will as well, sir. Pong. So we'll start with you, Asante, since you are the guest. Once again, we'll start with just kind of what do you want to see? What would you show if you're trying to get people excited about this game?
I mean, I would honestly do my best to give it the time it needs, right? I mean, they pulled first and foremost. It was the right move to come out right off the gate and say, "Hey, we're having its own show." That means that it gives it the presence and the the height that it deserves, right? Not smashing it alongside next to
Yeah.
other shows or whatever. It's going to have its room to breathe, which is good, right? But that also tells us that then you need to fill that slot, however long it may be, 20-minute, 30-minute, whatever you decide. You need to fill that with content that makes folks excited to play it, right? So honestly, I think first and foremost, as Microsoft has been up until now, believe it or not, say what you will about them, they listen, right? Sometimes they listen too much, sometimes they don't listen enough, sometimes they overcalibrate. It is what it is, but they listen, right? So continue using that listening tool and listen to all the initial hot takes that came when the initial trailers were out, right?
Yeah.
If you are being 30 frames per second, show us a solid 30 frames per second that just moves smoothly to the point where it dashes any of those misconceptions in the narratives. Because let's be honest, people talk about 30 frames per second all day. Plague Tale Requiem came out at 30 frames per second and people enjoyed themselves because they were rock solid, right? If you're going to shoot for higher heights, and that's the reason why you're going to stay within the 30/40 frames per second range, fine, but show people that, speak on it, show folks the factions that are going to be in it, show folks the places that you're going to be able to visit, the places that are considered only for resource gathering versus the places that are considered for story building and all of that.
Yeah.
A lot of it has been told and not shown, and we want to see controller in hand. We want to see moving frames on the screen. Show us some of this stuff, right? Everybody has put a lot of it's like forward, a lot of, hey, this looks like No Man's Sky, or this looks like Skyrim in space. It looks like all that and more, right? So show us the depth of the combat and the depth of the conversation systems. All the things that super excite folks that basically come to the yard when they hear Todd Howard is making another game. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it should be. And it should be a lot of showing and not telling, because the telling was exciting and it's gotten us here. And there's been another delay and another delay. And many of us are excited about those delays because that means it heightens the hype and it makes the potential of the game coming out more solid and more polished every time you delay a stronger factor, even if it's not by much. By the nature of it spending a little longer in the oven makes it a better product. So every time you delay it, the hype grows, but then we want to see why you delayed it, right? So even if you decide that this show comes about, right, like because I'm in the school of thought, and we may get further into that later, but I'm in the school of thought that even if it means them having a strategic edge this year, break your promise a little bit, delay it till later in the year. I'm in that school of thought. But my point is, see, exactly my point. This is exactly my point. If you can get out of the show blowing people's faces away to the point where Pong Soul goes, you see what they showed us there? Now, if they say they need a few more months in the oven, I'm okay with it. Then you've convinced them.
I will not.
Right? Hey, you don't know what they're going to show you. Right?
Yes, I do. I've watched Todd's presentations. I know exactly what they're going to do, Case. I do.
See, and that's we can talk about that. But long story short, I just want them to put all fears and all doubts aside that the wait was worth it. That's all.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think that's fair. And I don't think that's too much to ask as well, too. I mean, now, once again, this is an individual thing. This is all subjective because expectations are an individual. We're doing this based on, how we feel. All of these expectations
but we all know the Pong Soul's bias, so it's okay.
Well, absolutely. Oh, no,
I wear it on my sleeve, sir. I really do, and I tell everybody.
That is a badge of honor, Asante. That is a badge of honor. He does not walk around in shame at all.
No, I don't hide it. It's out there in the open. So
he calls him God Howard, and he wears his T-shirt.
That is his shield. That is his shield. So no, no, for sure. So no, but ultimately, I do agree with you, Asante. There's a game, insane expectations on the game. I do think it will deliver, man. I feel really good about it. Now, I can't wait till we start to hear them little whispers. Now, I mean, we've kind of mind you, this is not like I'm not part of the rumor mill, but I mean, there's some things that you get to see. You know what I mean? Some people say some things, but I really can't wait till we start to, because I mean, I assume there are people playing it. I assume there are people who are testing it, obviously. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't wait to start hearing the little trickles, right? Like,
Mm.
because that's kind of when you start to get like really excited. Like, man, it's starting to like trickle out. People starting to like put up emojis and all kind of weird stuff. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like all that type of stuff. So I enjoy when it gets to that point. So we'll see. But I'm super excited for the game. Super excited for the show, the event, because I want to know everything about the game. Now we're gonna throw this over to you, Pong.
Yes, sir.
So I know you're gonna give us a full rundown, full breakdown on
Yeah.
what you would show us to get excited, as well as when do you think this is all gonna slot in?
Correct. I got this. Que Asante first. I'm very shocked that you recognize that Starfield was a mixture of a bunch of games, and you actually recognize that because Game Rant came out with an article this week that said that Starfield was going to be lost amongst other games like No Man's Sky. That it was going to be forgotten. If you can believe that. So I was just shocked that you actually figured out that this game might be a little something more than a No Man's Sky actually is. So weird that people have these thoughts. I went on a
See,
giant
and
rant.
when I say it's
Yeah.
like No Man's Sky, I mean that in the best way
Oh my
possible.
god,
Because I
bro!
think No Man's Sky is brilliant. It's one of the
Listen,
most brilliant games that have ever been released.
and
So,
and I get you, but you understand that it's so much more than even No Man's
of
Sky. And
course, of
two
course,
different games, two
Yeah.
different
yes,
games, right?
yes.
So, but no, Game Rant didn't. I went on a big rant this morning on Living Split Screen about this stuff because I had to break down that article because it was so ridiculous. Anyways, let's get to the point at hand. So here's the deal. First of all, I've already said this on the show. Dream of Dreams. You start now with Starfield, and that starts on Wednesday. And I know they said it's not there. We know that, right? But I think the one last thing that you do there is a tease for the deep dive for Starfield, and you show the date that you're going to do the deep dive. You start now. The marketing materials are starting to be printed. We've seen the boxes this week. It's time. It really is time. We've got the smoke about a Super Bowl commercial out there. This is its moment, and Xbox has got to start it now. This is the biggest launch, as we've talked about, of an IP for Xbox since probably Halo CE. I don't think that's an overstatement in any way, shape, or form because of what this game could potentially mean to Xbox now in the short term and also what it means in the future. So I think you start here. And I think that you do get the February announcement. I'm starting to settle in on that. Tim Dog said that he first heard that it was going to be 2 weeks after the 25th, the developer direct, which would put it at February 8th, which is right in line with what we talked about here, PTK.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
game is going to make that early launch that some of
That
us still
March.
believe is possible. March, April, somewhere in that neighborhood. This will be the moment that tells us a little bit more. If they come out and it is 2 weeks after this developer direct, you don't do that if you're planning on pushing it till August. You don't do that if you're planning on pushing till September. I can still hear the June stuff. I can still hear the May stuff. But my personal gut feeling with the way Todd has always stated he would like to do a launch, and again, business wise, marketing wise, it will never work. But his idea of I announce a game and a week later it comes out, that can't work. But can you shorten up the marketing? Absolutely, you can. You can shorten up the marketing with a game like this that after the deep dive happens is going to have so much talk, so much hype, so many ripples going out there, articles being written about what they show in their 30, 45-minute, maybe even an hour presentation from Todd. I think this game is big enough that the deep dive might be the biggest deep dive we've had on a Bethesda title before. So I think that's why it could push 45 minutes to an hour. It's very important that Bethesda does what they do best. And there's nobody better, in my opinion, at showing off a game than Todd Howard himself. He knows these games frontwards and backwards because they are his babies. He treats each one of them like they are one of his family. Starfield is extra special for him. So I think this is going to be his shining moment, okay, when he comes out on stage to show off Starfield. Now,
Yeah.
what you do with Starfield, like Kay Asante said, you've got to show people the reasons why they should be excited. You've got to help people understand the scope of this game, but also the DNA of this game and why it's still a Bethesda game at heart, right? And you've got to do that in a compelling way. So, what I would do if I'm Todd, and this goes back to his Fallout 3 time, I think you take a mission that takes you, I think you show off one mission, a curated mission that takes you from starting point on a planet, right? Get you to introduce to some NPCs, get you introduced to the new dialogue system that they have. You got to show off that new dialogue system where you can spend points to influence people. You show how that works, how the character models are now more responsive than we've ever seen in any other Bethesda title before due to the new creation engine. You do that. Then that mission takes you from the planet. You get to show off a little bit of biome, you get to show off a little bit of scenery, all that kind of stuff. But then that mission takes you off world and you get to see the cutscene because we know we're not officially being able to take off and land on planets by ourselves. It's going to be automatic. So you get to see the cutscene, the ship, you getting on your ship. Maybe you get to look around the ship a little bit, get to see how maybe, I mean, again, you're going to be able to customize your ship. So not every ship's going to be the same, but the one you start out with, you're going to be able to see how big it is. You're going to be able to see some of the stuff that you can do in there. Maybe Todd takes you into a part of the ship at the crafting table, maybe craft something real quick. So you get to see that crafting aspect of it. And then they take you off world. You go into space. In mid-flight, wherever you're headed to, wherever that mission's taking to, another planet or maybe a space station, either one of those will work. I think that during that space flight, all of a sudden you're attacked. Now you get to see the space combat. You get to see the flight mechanics. You get to see some of the customization on the ship as the player's playing with the energy levels that you have to balance out between your weapons, between your shields, and what that kind of means. Again, they're not going full sim here, but they are going to have some of the classic space mechanics that you need to be aware of while you're flying, right? So you get some of that. You get the combat, right? You get the successful battle, blow them up. Maybe you board another ship at that point so we can see the boarding sequence that they've talked about as well. Something to that degree. And again, this is all going to depend on time frame, how much you are actually going to spend here. And then you get to your destination, right? And like I said, another space station or another planet. Maybe we get to see some of that, light speed travel that we know is in the game. Maybe it takes us to a different actual, solar system, and we go to a different solar system completely. Then we get to see the sequence of of your ship landing on that new planet in a totally new kind of world, different from where we left, right? A new biome. Maybe it's not a full-fledged city, right? Maybe it's not a, one of the big cities that they've talked about, the big main 4 kind of cities that they have, I believe they said. Maybe this is a little outpost somewhere that you're traveling to do, finish up the mission. When you get to that planet, you get off your ship, they show you walking around like they kind of did through our first trailer on the ship, seeing some wildlife, encountering some wildlife there. Maybe at that point you encounter another group of pirates, let's say, that are there. So now you get the first person shooter aspect and you get to see what they've done since we saw the first trailer. We did see combat in the first trailer and some people were disappointed in the combat. So now you show off what you've been working on because obviously that was an old build that we saw in the trailer. So now you get to see more close to the final build of what this combat looks like and how the guns handle and all that kind of stuff. If there now is Fallout type gore in this game, you got to show that off because a lot of people love the Bethesda gore. Don't discredit it. Don't say, that's not a big deal. Listen, Jez talks about it all the time. I want to see limbs flying. I want to see blood splatter, okay? That's a part of Bethesda games. I want to see it happening. So if you've added that back in, make sure that's in full glory, right? So I think you get that aspect down there. Then you get to your final destination, talk to another NPC, go through another dialogue tree, complete the mission, get some rewards, get to see the inventory system as you collect your rewards. Maybe the inventory system is during combat when you're swapping between weapons, whatever. Give us that full look, right? And I think that would be your beefy part of the section. And then I think you let Todd talk about all the different systems they've now put in place with this type of game. Have them expand upon the scope of the game. Maybe go into a little bit more about the base building that you can do on other worlds, the resource gathering that is going to be a big part of this game on those other worlds, right? I think that's what you show off then after you show this main kind of mission scenario. I think that would be perfect way to get people to understand exactly why this is a game they need to go play. Why this is another game that potentially, again, a lot of dominoes. I'm on faith, I'm on history. Not everybody is, but you show people why this potentially could be another genre defining title from Todd and the A team over at Bethesda, and why people on the fence need to hop off that fence and get ready for the release date. And then you end the show with the official release date announcement. Hopefully March or April. Surprise, shock, and awe everybody in the audience and everybody watching. And then the hype train is in full effect. The articles are instantly being written. The podcasts are instantly being happening. Word is going out. The streets are abuzz. And Todd's got another hit on his hands. And Xbox is starting off this new Xbox generation the right way with a Starfield, a classic, potentially classic Bethesda title that's going to be played for probably the next decade at least, because this game is even bigger than Skyrim, and the modders are going to keep this game alive for long past its expiration date. And that's how I would do it if I was Todd and the team. There you go.
No, absolutely. And once again, I mean, who can you get a better breakdown from? Really, we can't really ask anybody else after that, man. So phenomenal breakdown. No, once again, I mean, I think the game, obviously, the potential, and I think that that's what it boils down for me. Is just the potential of this game. Besides the fact that it is the A team and Todd Howard's baby, and he's taking special care, and this game kind of has a special place in his heart. So this one's getting that special attention. I don't know how you guys feel about it, chat, but I'm definitely on the side of this is going to be a phenomenal game. I can't wait till we start to hear those little trickles and sprinkles of people playing the game, getting it tested, playing betas, getting screenshots. All of that stuff starts happening. Obviously, that might start happening around the time we get this actual event. So, man, definitely on the lookout for that. But I am pumped. And I want to double back. I want to spin back something around on this too, and throw it back to you, Asante.
Hold on, real quick, PTK. Let me answer this. Gabe in chat said, because I use the term starting off the new generation, right, for Xbox. When I mean the new generation, Gabe, of course, it's been out for 2 years, sir. What I'm talking about is the new generation of the first party content, right? Starfield is going to be current gen only, series consoles only, and this is the start of what we are hoping to be the consistent drops, the consistency from Xbox's first parties from here on out. That's what I mean by that. These last 2 years have been marred by a pandemic, by chip shortages, by delays, all of that. So when I say that they're kicking off, this is the new Xbox, that's what I mean. We haven't really had a full start. It's been start, stop, because it's been so much, a lot of it out of the hands of Microsoft and other game companies. But specifically when I'm speaking about Microsoft, that's what I mean, the new generation of Xbox. This is when their first parties start hitting on all cylinders, fingers crossed, at this point. And the way that you lead it, if it's ready, is a game like Starfield. That's what I meant by that game. Sorry, PTK. Just wanted to answer.
No, you're good. No, once again, you got to make sure you got to elaborate on those type things. Shout out to Gabe, always asking the hard questions in chat. Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, I do agree. I 100% agree that this game absolutely could be huge, should be huge. And once again, that's obviously with the cherry on top. We're giving it, the good grace it is Todd Howard. So we want to make sure we give it the proper respect. But I guess we're gonna go ahead and throw this over to you, man. And where are you taking it? Where you taking us this week, Pong?
We can do a follow up with KSI or no?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I do.
Yeah, you were gonna bring it back to him.
I was gonna bring it back. I'm sorry. So I did want to follow up about one more thing regarding Starfield, Asante, and ultimately, just what is gonna be your what is going to be your final deciding factor on that game? I mean, are you already sold on Starfield at this point, Asante, or are you still waiting on something to grab you?
So with me in Starfield, I equate it to So those who know that I'm a gamer that plays everywhere. So like for me, games like Starfield were at its best in VR. So when I say I love No Man's Sky, I love No Man's Sky because I can play it in VR. And in VR, it's a different experience. There's another game called I forget the name of it. Oh my goodness. Now I'm gonna like wreck my brain until I find it. But basically, it's a game that puts you in the cockpit of a spaceship, and you can use a HOTAS flight stick, and you're in VR, and everywhere you look is just the sky, and it's very, very technical and very, very real.
It's not Elite Dangerous, is it?
Elite Dangerous. Thank
Okay.
you,
Oh
sir.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
welcome, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I literally, I like when I and that was first when I first got a Valve Index. I literally fell asleep and woke up in that thing, and I thought I was in another universe. Thing was like immersive experience. Like to me, a game like Starfield has the ability to reach those levels, that level of detail, that level of immersion, that level that then begs people to kind of keep peeling its onion layers for years to come. You know what I'm saying? So it's not surprising to me that this thing is reaching the level of hype it is. All I want, all I want right now is, because let's be clear here, folks, this thing will come out with bugs. Games of its size always do, because
100%,
that's just part and parcel of the experience.
Yes.
My question now is, how buggy are we talking? Are we talking a cautionary, cyberpunk tale, or are we talking the Bethesda bugs, which is always fun and happy, and maybe some stars literally fall out of the sky or something like that? Something funny you could put on a TikTok video. We shall see how far that goes, right? I hope that does not cheapen its first impression to the public, because as Pong has said, this is a very big game for Xbox and Bethesda and that whole organization, that platform moving forward. It is a big platform. Seeing where we are with, unfortunately, how the mighty have fallen in Halo, this is the next big thing for them, and it needs to fire on all cylinders. I have faith it will. I want them to put their best foot forward. So all these delays were for that benefit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm super excited to play it. I'm super excited to be one of those, because as Pong Soul has coined, and I always give him credit when I use it. There are some of us grazers around,
Yes,
who spend a lot of time with at least 6 or 7 in rotation constantly. I'm the same way. I'm Vampire Survivors still in the rotation. Snap still in the rotation. Added Monster Hunter Rise, right? And I also added Midnight Suns, and I'm rotating. It looks like a game like Starfield will be something that you kind of, much like I did with the Master Chief Collection. You leave it installed on your hard drive and just kind of go back to, like a fine wine you sip for many, 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 many years to come. You know what I mean? It seems like it will be one of those games that keeps giving you more as it goes along. So we'll see how it goes. I hope and pray it comes out, perfect, with bugs to a minor. That's the only place I'm concerned.
No, that's fair. I think that's a fair expectation. And I mean,
I love it. I love it. We forget what Bethesda titles are all about. I love it. We go through this cycle every time because there's so
Look,
few
man,
far between.
they now
love
have
it.
Microsoft money, and they've been allowed to delay a couple times. Let's hope for the best.
And I'm bored with you, Asante. I've said from the beginning, this will be the most polished. This will be the most polished Bethesda title that we have seen. They don't have to worry about a PlayStation version at all. All the extra man hours that they would put into a PlayStation version are now all into Xbox and PC, right? They've got the new creation engine, which should help out. Yes, a new updated engine can cause its own issues, but you hope that with the help of Xbox's top engineers, which we heard Todd said specifically in the Lex Friedman interview, the top engineers from Xbox were in there working with them, have been, to make the most out of this game, right? All of that lends me to believe this will be the most polished Bethesda title. But if anybody believes that even if they delayed it for another 2 years, it would come out with 0 bugs, you are
That's
nuts.
absolutely not
You
true.
are
Absolutely
nuts.
not.
And
Yes.
again,
Yeah.
I know it's a different time. No matter what, KSI, this is the other thing. I hear all the people say, hey, if you got to delay for an extra few months, you know what? Those extra few months aren't going to do anything. This game's going to come out and get torn apart by the clown
See,
show
my
constantly.
thoughts on delay is
Yeah.
not for the game's benefit,
Yeah.
but it's for if you Microsoft / Xbox did not put your back in the corner of we promise you these games in the next 12 months, you could have strategically placed this out and still had a healthy year for yourself with really big games. Now you got to drop them all really early. What do we have to look forward to after that? That's my only concern. But no, I hear you, Paul.
Yeah. I think most people,
to
other
answer
people
a question,
are considering that. Yeah.
To answer a quick question in the chat, that Paul, that Mr. Infinite Umbra, shout out to you, good sir.
Shout out to Umbra.
He poses, he poses in the chat. Would we be disappointed if Starfield only hit 30 frames? I do not have to worry about that, sir, because I am a PC / Microsoft / all over the place gamer. So if my Series X and or Series S is locked at 30 and I don't like it that way, I will move on to PC. And thanks to Microsoft, I will be able to take my save with me, so I'll be fine, right? But if it was locked, like I said a little bit ago, 30 frames has different potentials, right? If it's 30 frames and it's hitchy and stuttery and painful, yeah, that would be disappointing. But if it's 30 frames per second, like Plague Tale Requiem, where it's solid, good to go, you don't even feel it, or it even allows you for that 40 frames. These days I've been playing a lot of the Steam Deck, hitting 40 frames, and that's the sweet spot. If it allows for those things, I think, hey, shoot for your shot, right? Shoot for higher heights. For those who aren't aware, 40 frames means they wanted to make the levels deeper. They wanted to make it more complex, and they did not leave enough overhead to shoot for 60. So, hey, if it means that we're looking at a more complex game that maybe one day in the near future we'll be able to hit a higher frame rate because then the hardware can support it, why not? Don't short shrift yourself for the potential of a locked frame rate. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I'm a console-only player, Umbra. You know that. I only play on Xbox right now. I have made mention that I have started looking into PCs because I have to get one for content-making purposes anyways.
The man is joining the team.
I've been looking, right?
Let's go. If you need some pointers, the DMs are open, good sir.
All right, brother. And that's the best part about this community. I got resources up the wazoo to help me out. So, but no, for me as a console-only player right now, I've talked about this. I would speak out on it if they only have one option of 30 frames. I would speak out on it just like I've spoken out on other games. I believe in my heart of hearts that it is possible to get 60 frames no matter how big the game is. I understand there are certain limitations. I get that. But I want the option. As I've said, even if that means you got to drop it down to 900p, give me the option to have 60 frames so I can make the choice myself. Personally, I don't have a problem playing at 30 frames. I still play on my Xbox my Xbox 360 from time to time. I just have been playing Dishonored 2 on my Series X, which is a locked 30 frames. I can play 30 frames. I don't have a problem with it, but I will speak out.
Which is a travesty, by the way. It's a travesty. That game should be 60. Come on now.
It should be,
definitely,
absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely. So
there's a few games like that still floating around.
I'll be disappointed from the aspect that they didn't give us the option. I understand Todd's feelings. Todd can have his beautiful 30 frames all day long. Just give me the option. That's all I've asked for. I don't ask for PC options. I don't ask for all the little individual options. Give me 2 options. One at 30 and one at 60, even if that means sacrificing the resolution all the way down. I don't care. Let me choose, but make it an option. That's all I've ever asked for. So that's where
I'm curious how big of a deal that's actually going to be once they announce like what it, you know what I mean? Like I wonder how big of a deal that's actually going to be. Yeah. That's going to be interesting. How much people are going to hold that against or for Xbox or Bethesda. You know what I mean? How much
you
grace
already know,
they're going to
sir.
receive.
You already know, sir. It don't matter what this game does because it is now an Xbox exclusive. It is going to get shredded for anything that people can find, whether it's a simple little bug or whether it's the 60 frames. If it doesn't have it, it is going to get picked apart left, right, up, down, front and center, wide open all the time. This game is going to be one of those games that even if it is the best Bethesda ever has been, even if it comes out in the 90s, again, as a Metascore, like a broken Skyrim on PS3 still got a 93 meta, even if it comes out as the most polished game and it gets a 90, people are going to pick this thing apart no matter what. It's going to happen, period. It's going to be an uproar.
I mean, I understand the scrutiny.
Yeah.
I do understand the scrutiny. I mean, I do think that that's going to happen. It's big enough, right? Like, obviously, I understand where all of that's coming from. You know, the other side of the fence. I get it. It's going to get that, irregardless of what or how great the game actually is.
Yes.
I do understand that. Like, we got to be realistic. But in despite of all of that, I do think the game will be fantastic. I do think, out of all the games coming out this year, I mean, even including something like a Zelda, I know Zelda's supposed to hit this year, as well as Spider-Man 2 potentially.
Yep.
I do think, as far as a ceiling, I mean, Spider-Man's going to be huge. I have no doubt. Same thing with Zelda. Nintendo fans buy
Talk
freaking
about your
games.
30 frames per second. Talk about your 30. That abacus will barely produce you 25 frames per second. We shall see.
What, for Switch, for Zelda?
For Zelda, come on now. Even the last Zelda game played barely at 30 frames per second on the Switch, and now you're bringing me another one. Yeah, I would be gladly playing that on the big boy Switch, aka the Steam Deck. Thank you very much.
That is hilarious.
Get out of here with that.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, no, we'll see. Chat, how do you feel about that, chat? Now, we might go left a little bit here because that's an interesting take, Asante. You might have to elaborate on that.
Well, you know, that hardware, and let's be real. Like, okay, I'm gonna go a little tech crazy on you. That hardware, that Tegra X1, was outdated when it was first released. It was released a year before the Nintendo Switch actually adopted it, right? So I have an NVIDIA Shield. I bought it in 2014. That's when the actual Tegra 1 chip came out. And in Japan, you can actually play Nintendo games directly on a Shield because they allowed for that. In America, you can't do that. But needless to say, since that chip has come out, that's the Switch you've been playing with, right? They put it in a shinier box. They put an OLED around it. But you're still literally playing with now 7-year-old technology, and they're talking about coming out with Tears of the Kingdom on that, right? So basically, what I do, and for those who aren't aware, this is absolutely legal. Let's be clear. Whether they like it or they don't, it is a legal thing that you can do. I see some pirate flags in the chat. No, it is not. So stop that. Stop that. Yeah, we are not condoning any illegalities here on this show, and that's not what Asante told you to do. No, you can literally buy it on the eShop. You can dump it to an SD card. You can decrypt it and then put it on your Switch, on your Steam Deck. Now, is it easy? No, but that's the fun part about it. You can transfer it to your Steam Deck, and then you could emulate it and use the power of the Steam Deck to get it running better. These days, I play Breath of the Wild at a nice 1080p with a brisk 40 locked frame rate, on the Steam Deck, and it runs beautifully, right? So it is all possible. Do they like it? No, they don't, right? If I were to start showing you videos of it on my channel, probably I will get demonetized because they don't like that.
Easy, yeah.
But it is definitely legal as long as you get it from the eShop, which you can easily do. Obviously, SD cards are allowed, so you can pull it off the eShop and you can, do your research and get it done that way. But there you go.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and throw this over. And once again, chat, before we get to Pong here and his topic, once again, show some love, man. Go follow Asante. All of that stuff is down in the description below. Shout out to everybody, Jedi Knight, Umba, Chris, everybody hanging out in chat, man. You guys are all amazing. I seen General Spartan. Everybody just chilling out with us, hanging out tonight. Hope you guys are having an amazing Saturday evening here at the Shop Podcast.
Umbra accusing me of Jack Sparrow over here.
I know, right? Down? I see that pirate flag. God damn it. This is not Sea of Thieves. We were not talking about Rare at all. So, no, I understand. I get it. You got to be careful, man. You never know nowadays. But shout out to you, Umbra. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Let's get into your topic, bro. Right on the button, right? 7 o'clock on the dot.
Nice. I like how that worked out.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Here we go. Speculation Town time. You know where I like to go here. We're going to have some fun because we could talk about the negativity, right? But I want to spin it. So I need both Asante and PTK Blam to sit down in their armchair CEO thrones and put their thinking caps on and think about the future. and I want some ideas. I want some fresh ideas. I'm Phil Spencer, and I called you guys in. We've got the situation with 343 and Halo Infinite. And we are focused on the multiplayer now from here on out. Any ideas that we had about the single player campaign being expanded through DLC is off the table completely because we are where we are today. It is what it is. What's happened has happened. Lessons learned, hopefully. So I, as Phil, bring you two in. I'm going to start with you, of course, our guest, our esteemed guest, Mr. Kay Asante. And I sit you two down. And I turn to Kay Asante first, and I say, okay, Kay Asante, giving you the keys to the castle that is Halo, the entire IP of Halo. I need some fresh ideas from you, sir. We can't let this franchise, this IP, go to waste. We can't put it in retirement home early. We can't let it collect dust in the closet. So, Kay Asante, you as king of this
I like
Halo
this.
castle.
This is fun. I like this.
Yes, king of this Halo castle, sir. You are it. Give me your fresh ideas. Where are we taking the Halo IP? What are we going to do to get people excited, to give them something new within this universe? Give me some of your first moves that you make as king of the Halo castle. What do you do with this IP case?
Okay. So first and foremost, I'm stroking the gray beard. Thank you, Pongso. You have brought forth great inspiration. This is great.
Nice.
I appreciate
This
that.
is the actual solution, by the way, we're giving to the problem. So
Yes,
if
sir.
anybody's
Yes,
listening,
sir.
this is
Correct.
just send your ideas to Asante. Send him a private jet. Get him a ticket. You know, it'll be
The gray beard
well
is
worth
being
it.
stroked. So
Yeah, it'll
yes,
be well
this is
worth
great. This is great. You know what, Pong? We are where we are. You know, however we got there. You know, they are half mothballing, half we'll say the franchise a bit. Right now, they're keeping it alive in the multiplayer. That's fine, right? My first move, if you hand it to me and give me a somewhat healthy budget, because I know like budgets are tight right now. Give me a somewhat healthy budget and say, you know, I here's your somewhat healthy budget. You can either smoke it all on one big project, or you can drip feed it in places where to keep Halo alive and keep it in the zeitgeist. We're not trying to let it be forgotten, right? First phone call I make is to Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah,
I call Netflix.
Damn it.
I like this. Okay.
I call Netflix
Took
and
my
I
idea,
say,
bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm starting. I'm working. This is me cooking right now. Forgive me, sir. I go to Netflix and I say, look, you know, you've heard about how Microsoft has been with our franchise, and it's brought us a bit of consternation. You know, Exhibit A, Master Cheeks. It is what it is. What are we going to do, right? Here we are. We see you and your team at Netflix, in whether it be the animation department or the live action. I'd actually say animation.
I was going to say
I'd say animation first.
Yep,
First and
I was
foremost.
going to say animation.
Yes, I'd say, look, you know, here's your department. You know, we have lots of IPs we can work with and work from in the future. We are putting Halo in your hands. What we didn't do in the first place. Reason why Halo took so long to come out, because they refused to put it in the hands of Hollywood, and for right reason, in my humble opinion. At that time, Hollywood was giving short shrift to video game / comic book characters, so you had to fight for yours, right? But we live in a new world now. Look at what Netflix has produced, right? So you hand it to them and say, look, license fees, we'll keep it low. We'll give you our creative input. You know, this thing is a franchise of epic proportions. Do your best with it. We will be as hands-off as you want us to be, because we're making pocket dimensions now. You are not allowed to make a story about Master Chief. He can be in there tangentially. Oh, he can be on a TV screen. His lore can be built in any way, shape, or form you wish to do so. I want you to tell stories in this universe, whether it be Oni stories, whether it be ODST stories, whatever you want to do, go off, do you, right? This is the Star Wars rebuilding. This is the high.
I love it, dude. I love it.
You know, go out there and let the lore deepen. We want 2, 3, 4, 7 seasons if we can get it from you, right? And we'll keep the licensing low. Halo is big. It's on Mountain Dew. People will watch. So that's the first thing I do. Second thing I do, I then call in my internal teams, those who are either in between projects or those who have other teams that could potentially do small projects, call them in and get myself a session of brainstorming. I want ideas from each and every one of you. And it's not the next AAA monster franchise. It's not the next big monster idea. It doesn't even have to be an FPS shooter.
Right.
I want you to show me ideas in the Halo world that can broaden the base. You know, it may very well be a Halo Wars spinoff if you so choose. You know, there have been many attempts at the different versions of Halo, and I think the Halo Wars franchise was underrated. I actually think that it really served a very good niche in the genre, and it needs to continue. I even think the mobile versions, the twin stick shooter versions, were also a very unique little brand that they added in there.
Spartan Assault, right?
Spartan Assault, that's right.
Yes.
More of that, right? Again, I don't want to see the Chief in it.
Yep.
You can make it any characters you want. You can
Why
make
no
it
Chief? Because you want to reserve that for the game?
Because the Chief is mothballed right now.
Okay, got it.
And the Chief should return in holy glory once they figure the hell out what the hell they are planning on doing with the Chief.
Okay.
But he needs to be respected, damn it. So go off and have some experiments, but do not put any dirt on that man's name. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
You know what I'm
with
saying?
you on that. Get your shit off, bro. I'm with you.
Yes. You know, my idea is spread that budget thin. You know, let the folks come in, both internal and external. After my internal teams get a crack at it, get some external teams to have a crack at it. We work with a lot of external teams now, don't we? Right? They all come in, they pitch. We have, game publishing out there. And by the way, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Joe's back there. So maybe he's got a team that might be able to have an interesting idea that's off the beaten path for Halo. But the next time we take a crack at Halo, the soil must be seeded with all these new stories, all this new potential. And when I say all this new stories and all this new potential, I mean go into the books. There's so much awesome lore in the books. I don't want to see the same story told over and over and over again in video game format, right? There are so many ways of telling these stories, and the stories get real deep. The whole idea of the Oni agents and all of that in and of itself is an awesome pocket of the universe to explore, right? They need to broaden the base. If anybody hasn't seen Andor on Disney Plus, go watch Andor. If anybody hasn't seen Rogue One, go watch Rogue One. These are the things that make the Star Wars universe exist to this day for me, right? The mainline stuff gets great, and then they go overboard because much like AAA games, they try to play it safe and keep reiterating the stuff you like and forget that what brought you there was something new and exciting, right? And as soon as they go one step forward, they have to go 3 steps back, and they're always afraid of losing money. So what ends up happening, what ends up exciting things, much like in gaming, it's the stuff around the edges that tend to move things forward. So let Halo just be that, right? A franchise that explores the edges. Let the middle stay dormant for a while, and then maybe as the Series X becomes what the One X is now, we'll take another stab at it and do it like we wanted to, meaning right now, Phil Spencer, start talking to the team, whether it be id Software or any of these other teams that you think can really nail it, right? Start talking to the team that will maybe use Unreal Engine 5 if that's what you choose, even though a side thing, I'm worried that everything's going to be UE5 and that's a problem, but that's neither here nor there. Start those conversations today in secret so that when the Chief comes back out, and presumably that's in the next generation, he'll be out day one with the console, and all of the logistics in the middle has already been resolved, right? Right now, I don't want to hear anything about him. He's gone. I was talking to Everborn. I'm like, to me, the franchise is dead. He's like, you don't know the definition of dead. I'm like, yes, I do. There are multiplayer gamers who will enjoy and continue to enjoy it. Go for it. As a single player gamer who has played those franchise, that campaign multiple times, Halo is dead to me until you give me more single player story driven campaign stories that move the ball forward. And it sounds like I'm not going to get that until I have more grays on my face than I have brown. So that's a problem for me, right? So I want to see, give me Arcane's iteration of the Halo universe. Give me Obsidian's iteration of the Halo universe. Hell, give me Crystal Dynamics iteration of the. It doesn't matter. Let everyone take a crack at that because it's time. Just don't put the Chief in it. That's all I want.
Hey, Kay Asante, me as Phil Soul sitting in his chair is liking what you're putting down, sir. I appreciate your vision for which way we go. PTK, Phil Soul
sir.
looks at you and says, sir, like what Kay Asante's putting down. If you've got similar thoughts, great. Those are probably some of the ideas we need to move forward with, but I want to hear it from you. Where do you go with this franchise moving forward? How do we keep this thing alive while we figure out internally what we're doing with the main line, as Kay Asante just pointed out, and the Chief? What are your thoughts here?
Well, I'm very, very, very similar to Kay Asante in my assessment of where things need to go. Now, once again, this is all pie in the sky. This is all fantasy football type stuff, right? But if you're telling me you're gonna give me in the office, hand me the keys, say, give us a game plan, give us a roadmap. Like you said, the first thing I'm doing, I'm calling Netflix, and this is no shot of Paramount Plus or anything along those lines. I'm not even going live action. I'm going animation right away. I'm going animation. I need a anime, a Halo Legend style anime. I need a Halo anime right off the rip. Something edgy, something fun, something exciting, maybe mature rated. And it doesn't have to be Chief related. It can be, like you said, Oni. There's a bunch of there's so much sci-fi. That's the beauty of Halo, is that there's an actual universe built around it. It's not just a standalone game, that survives in its own world within the game. There's an actual world. There's books and all this other type of lore and tons of other stuff that you can get into and branches of paths you can go down. So I'd go that route for sure to kind of drum up some more interest for the franchise. Obviously, Halo Wars 3 is obvious. You mentioned that, I think, last week, right, Pong? I think you mentioned Halo Wars 3. You're already putting that out in the universe. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you on that. That gets green lighted for sure. Now, I don't know who would do it. You obviously allow the same people. Yeah, the same people to do it. Speaking of, what's going on with Certain Affinity? Weren't they doing something Halo related?
They are doing the BR, and that's
is that still? Are we
still on as far as we know?
I'm. That's probably getting greenlit at this point. If it's not already greenlit, that's probably
part of the multiplayer. It's part of the multiplayer, so it makes sense that they're going to try that.
So it makes sense. I think that gets highlighted as well, maybe pulled to the forefront. I'm not as bleak on the Halo franchise as maybe Asante is. Regarding just it being dead to me at this point in time. I love the multiplayer. I as well love the single player. But I'm not as bleak on it as well. But I would allow it to be a bit more open. I'd open it up a little bit more. I've always talked about doing something flood related. I think that would be interesting, getting back to the flood. Dare I say a horror game? We've always talked about that. Like, that would be fun. Giving somebody a crack at like a horror Halo. Almost like just a flood related Halo. I don't know, we're just shooting the shit here, but something along those lines, just doing something a little different. I don't mind where Halo Infinite is at currently. Obviously it could be in a better state. And I would hearing them not doing anything is from a single player standpoint going further does suck, because I was so ready for some campaign like DLC. We've never had it in Halo, and I was so ready for that to happen, and it is a bit disappointing hearing that we're not going to get that, but getting something like
isn't that the sad part there, PTK? Just
it
to
really
cut
is,
in real quick. See, and it's not even that it was on the chop, it was getting done and then they changed their minds. From trusted sources in this community, it is all but assured that they weren't even thinking about it. It wasn't even on the docket. They were done. Fingers closed. They were moved on to all hands on deck on the multiplayer. No one was even thinking about the next iteration of the single player DLC of any
that's kind of crazy.
Which just breaks my soul, man. That's just so sad. That's messed up.
It's almost even worse.
It's tough.
Yes, it is worse.
Yes,
it's tough when you're big into the lore. Like, I'm a big lore guy, man. Like, that's what I love about Destiny. That's why I love, like, irregardless of what happens to Destiny, I get people, people are to and fro on Destiny and up and down depending on what happens. I will always love Destiny because I fell in love with the lore and the characters. I would sit for hours and watch lore videos. Same thing with
I have
Division.
read the Halo books.
Yep.
I have listened to both of the Halo podcasts. That doesn't even have the chief in it. The latest one does at the end, but mostly it's just building up the lore and building up his hype in that universe. It really, really, like, once you get into all that stuff, you're surprised at how little of it is used in the games. It's very rich and very good. You know what I mean? Like,
It's just,
it surprises the hell out of me that they pay it such short shrift. I don't know.
I've argued that this is, it's rivals of Star Wars. You know what I mean? As far as like the universe, obviously it's not as pronounced, not as well known, but as far as content, there's a lot of content, man. That Halo universe is massive. It's way bigger than people think it is. I know the game kind of, shines a spotlight on Chief, and he's kind of the protagonist that brought everything to light, but ultimately that's a large, insanely diverse universe, and I'd love to put some more spotlight on that. So that's probably where I would go. I'm not abandoning Infinite at all. You continue to provide multiplayer support. You try and do some interesting things there. You maybe pivot on some of the earlier ideas that you had. Now that there's obviously no single player component to worry about at this point, unfortunately. So you can focus all of that time and all your ideas on multiplayer. So maybe do some creative things there, some creative stuff with Forge. Try and grow that community. There's always, look at GTA. The game survives off of its multiplayer. So if maybe you focus there, maybe I don't know if you ever get it to GTA level, but maybe you can, now that you have a singular focus on multiplayer, maybe you can do that and grow that. And so I would kind of go from there. Allow that to kind of do its thing. Maybe that grows into something. You don't want to, throw it in the trash too soon.
No, I agree with you, PTK. And what's funny, as an outsider, obviously, as the casual Halo fan I am, even though Rand tried to tell me on PM in the PM on Thursday that I'm not a casual Halo fan if I play Halo Wars, I still consider myself a casual Halo fan. But I agree with both of you. And I'll take it a step further. First of all, funny that you both went to anime. We talked about this on Living Split Screen this morning with Steele and myself. And it's the one thing that we talked about, like, read the room, Microsoft. This is 2023. Again, Halo should be a much bigger franchise, even though it's one of the biggest gaming franchises in the history of video games. It should be a much bigger worldwide phenomenon than it is in its current state. And Kayasaki, you correctly pointed out that the old Hollywood, the old style, what we got from video game adaptations was not up to par. Okay, it was not what it is, but now it is. So instantaneously, like you both, I'm on the phone with, I'm on a three-way call, three-way Zoom, Teams, I should say, because we're Phil, and I've got Trigger and I've got Netflix, and I go to Trigger instantaneously because of what they did with Cyberpunk, and I say, Trigger, you want to work on Halo anime? We're going to give you the money. Netflix, obviously, you had a lot of success by having the Cyberpunk anime on Netflix. It was one of the best viewed shows, anime, that you've had. Let's do this with Halo. And I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. You tell another completely different Halo universe story. You make it adult. You make it gory. You make it violent. You bring it all around. Everything that encapsulates Halo, you make it in this anime. And I think that is something that keeps it relevant. I go further than both of you as far as who I call upon. Okay, Sante, the first party teams, if there's somebody that raises their hand and says, we really want to do a Halo game, absolutely give them a shot. But I don't pull anybody off of what they're doing or what their roadmaps look like right now. I think you ask, and if somebody raises their hand, absolutely. But otherwise, I throw up the bat signal to the entire games industry. I throw up the bat signal and say, hey, Halo IP is now like Star Wars. We're going to license this sucker out. Send your pitches immediately. Anybody out there, and there's a bunch of developers, a bunch of leads, a bunch of publishers who grew up on Halo, who have always dreamed of making a Halo game, but don't work for Xbox.
And guess who responds? Bungie. Yep. And then, of course, Sony can't stop them. So then they'll make the game, and it's third person, and it's third party, and then it'll be everywhere.
You're breaking the fourth wall, Asante.
How good would that be, Kay Asante?
Can you imagine?
Yes. But would do it. And I would ask anybody out there, send your pitch. If it's an RPG, send it to us. Let us figure it out. If it's a looter shooter, send it to us. We want to see the idea. Whatever you've got that you've had in your head that you would take Halo in a certain direction, or like PTK said, the horror genre with the flood, all that kind of, send it. We want to see it. Because again, I think personally, this, even though for the Halo community, for the Halo fans, the really hardcore fans, it's tough sledding right now to hear some of this stuff and to kind of see where Halo Infinite is. And again, still a great game. Multiplayer is still one of the most polished multiplayers out there. Yes, they've had their issues, but they've been working through them. It's just been simply they weren't ready to handle this games as a service style with content. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day. They couldn't monetize it, which in turn led to this. Okay, that's fine. But I think that there's ideas out there now that can be explored. Now that 343 is where it is, now that Halo Infinite is where it is, it actually frees you up to break out of the mold that you've been in for so damn long and actually explore some new ideas. Yes, they've done things like Halo Wars. Sure, as you pointed out, Kayasante, like Spartan Assault, twin stick shooters, they've tried, but they were tries, right? Halo Wars 2 didn't hit the way, and it seems like they've mothballed that after that didn't hit the way they thought it would. But to this day, there are non-RTS gamers out there who have gone and watched all the CGI to get the story of Atriox and the Banished. Atriox, even though the RTS genre is niche, is still a beloved part of the Halo lore because of what Halo Wars 2 introduced. You bring back Halo Wars 3, obviously, I'm always going to be on board for that. But you go find other people with this newfound freedom that have different visions for all of this lore, for this gigantic universe that rightfully could be as big as Star Wars had they ever explored it properly. And you go start that process right now. And you've got a ton of freedom to do so. You got a ton of leeway to have new visions come in. And maybe even if they don't all hit, maybe you find one, maybe you find two that sparks a whole different group of people that maybe didn't necessarily wasn't into playing the first person shooter version of Halo, that wasn't about getting sweaty in multiplayer all the time. Maybe never even looked at the campaign because, hey, it just didn't appeal to them. Maybe though you tell a story in a different way that gets a group of people that never experienced Halo before to love it. And that's what starts the resurgence. And I think that that's what you do. You keep this, again, Halo is one of the pillars of the entire gaming industry. If there's a Mount Rushmore of gaming, Chief is up there, okay, period. He's next to Mario. And Halo is Xbox. You find people randomly on the street who don't game, you ask them, first thing they think of when you say Xbox, it's going to be Halo. And that's still to this day. So even though Halo might not be the IP it once was, because again, the industry has changed. People have more than ever, as far as content goes, to play right now and to take time away. It's not the Halo CE days. It's not the Halo 2 or 3 days. It's not when they came in and changed a lot of things within the industry, the perception of first-person shooters on a console. They changed the industry. It might not be that time, and it's never going to be that time again, but Halo still has power within this industry. So you do not mothball this. You do not let it go into the closet and lock it away and retire it for a while. And I'm talking about, I know they're going to take care of the multiplayer and that's going to be around, but I'm just saying you don't stay away from making new experiences in the Halo universe while you internally figure out what you're going to do with the mainline franchise. This is the time you grow it. This is the time you expand it out. This is the time that you go see what other people have envisioned for Halo and put some of those to work. And you get started immediately because this generation is going to fly by. And before you know it, we're going to be the next generation. And there can't be an entire generation where we just have what happened to Halo Infinite be the story of Halo for this generation. I think you got to go find something else right now. Then you work internally. You figure out what you're going to do with the main line. I think this is the time. If there's ever been a time, Kay Asante, you got to tell a final Chief story at some point, but it's a time you move on from Chief at some point, right? And I think this is the time you do it. You tell a final great grand story. Chief, however you have him go out, you have him go out. There's a lot of ways you could do that. And then you move forward into the next generation with a clear path, telling something brand new, starting a new mainline franchise with Halo. That's personally what I do it. Again, I'm an outsider in a lot of this because I don't have the connection, but I think that they have a real opportunity here, a unique opportunity despite the disappointment, despite the failures, despite whatever happened internally with the management, whatever it was. Despite all that, they got a unique opportunity to start fresh. And I think you go outside and go find some people who have fresh visions. That's my thing.
No, once again, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I do think that this is a very, very slippery slope. We talk about this, and a lot of people feel a lot of different ways about it. But there's a lot of different ideas, and the one blessing here is that there's a lot of content to draw from. Right, Halo's not a dull franchise where there's nothing to draw from. Like there's really no new ideas. That's the good thing about this is that you can do different things, and they can catch on their own and still stand on their own just because of the strength of Halo as a franchise already and kind of where it sits. It isn't a pantheon. I'm sorry if you don't feel like it is, but it is. Like I'm not arguing with anybody about that. I don't think anybody on this panel will argue where Halo sits or where it should sit as far as like the pantheon of games, and where Chief sits. He is Mount Rushmore. If you don't feel that way, I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. Shout out, chat. What's up, Mav? I see you out there, buddy. Siki, I see you as well. Luis Jose, shout out to you as well. But so I guess we're going to start taking some questions.
Did you get Chris Jones' super chat? Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure.
No, did we? No, yeah. Did I not grab
Chris Jones with the $2. He was in agreement with me, of course. Halo Wars 3 or turn-based strategy with online co-op, 100% C Unit. Shout out to C Unit from Lords of Gaming, of Gaming.net, where he does some great articles. Go check it out.
Yeah, shout out to Chris Jones. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, so we're gonna take some questions too as well. We got some other stuff I'm sure we can talk about, man. It's been a busy week. And I'm sure we got some other things we can get into, but we're going to start taking questions. So let us know, chat, any questions that you guys might have, anything that we haven't gotten to or might have missed already. Let us know what you guys think. Drop the questions right now in chat. But what else have we got, Pong? I know we got some stuff in the DMs, man. I guess we can talk about. I wanted to talk a little bit about Atomic Heart as well. We can get into that. I know you brought it up earlier, Asante. But that's another game I'm super interested in as well. And I guess we can kind of get everybody's temperature on that game. Kind of like, are there any concerns at this point with the game? Are there any like major concerns with Atomic Heart?
I mean, from my perspective, I heard that there is some kind of drama with the world at large, and we may want to delve deep into that or leave it at that, but I've heard those issues, and to those people I say, calm down. It's not that big a deal. But as far as the game itself is concerned, I expect an amazing B-movie story. Don't expect the world to end on that storyline. It's going to be full of very weird choices that you're not used to, but that's the reason why you go to games like that. Something that's interesting and odd. And I expect that they will, from a technical perspective, they will throw a lot at you on the screen. Like I said, I saw like a leaked video that was on YouTube for many years.
Yes.
They all of a sudden when Atomic Heart started getting on the radar, they took it down. But it was on YouTube for many years. Like this was 3-4 years ago, an hour of footage of somebody just playing this game. And I mean, it captures the imagination. That's crazy as it can go, right? So, I'm super excited to see how far this team goes in what directions they go, because you can definitely tell they wore their inspirations on their sleeve. They're in no way, shape, or form trying to obscure the fact that this is a BioShock inspired kind of a joint, So I'm looking forward to seeing how far they go and how much they feel like they added to that formula, because clearly this does not look like just a clone. And based on some of the enemies you see, it's They go crazy. They go hard, right? So it's all good. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll see on how it goes. Oh, I see a question in the chat for
Yeah,
let's
go
see,
ahead.
Louis Jose saying he wants me to expand on the UE on UE5 looking the same. Okay. So UE4 for a long time was the industry standard, and for good reason, just like UE3, right? But as we got along, even during those times, and this is I'm talking the 360 age, the PS3 age, Pong Soul, you were part of that lineage. You both are, so you can tell me if I'm mistaken here. But after a while, even though there was a lot of creativity on display, it became certain elements of it became very samey, right? And maybe
you knew a UE game immediately on
exactly
that generation. You said, "Oh, that's Unreal." You knew it.
It's almost like all the world's musicians using the same three instruments. Yes, you can do a lot of creative things, but eventually you start picking out the three instruments because you keep hearing them, right? And there are far many more instruments in the mix, right? So UE became a little bit formulaic because no matter how creative you are, an explosion is an explosion is an explosion, and you can tell a UE explosion, right? And some of us love the technology, and some of us pixel peep and stuff, so you could really easily see it, right? So they've grown a lot since then. UE4 has also become very instrumental and very interesting. But again, to that point, you see what's happening. They are having a hard time, specifically on the console side, on the PC side, sometimes on the console, but more on the PC side, where they're having a problem with shader cache compilation. And since everyone and their mother uses the same engine, every game stutters. Every single game stutters, right? Why? Because one engine with one byproduct and one issue will then propagate to every game because everyone uses the same engine. That is my concern, right? UE5 looks amazing. It looks like it's going to bring about a lot of interesting things. But I've always been appreciative of the teams that go off the beaten path and do their own thing. I've always been very, very appreciative of teams like Crytek, who can take their own custom engine and give you the same level of ray tracing. And it's so good that it can even be software ray traced on last gen consoles, right? Unfortunately, their engine has not produced a game that's broken through that everyone sees as an industry standard. So maybe they get short shrift, but at the end of the day, they're doing very unique things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not just them. There are many teams. When I heard Crytek, when I heard CDPR was giving away the Red Engine and focusing more on Unreal, something in me, I was a little saddened by that, because there's another one going to the industry standard. I think we as a gaming community want more diversity, and when they're all focused on one, then it makes Epic a little too powerful, right? Then it makes all our games follow a certain narrative. All of that is it breeds issues down the line, in my humble opinion. So that's the reason why, in my humble opinion, there should be more engineers out there making custom engines and doing what they want to do, rather than fitting into the UE5 frame.
Asante, can I follow up with this? Because I'm not a
Please.
tech guy at all, right? So I
Please.
lean on you tech guys heavily, right? So I just know basics, and obviously I still read stuff and I still try to learn. But
Yep.
To your point, everybody using UE5 is kind of like inbreeding. You're going to wind up with problems, right?
Exactly. Good analogy.
That go across all games, like you said.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
No. That's the one thing that popped in my head as he was talking.
Good shot. Really good. Good pull.
But obviously, as the engine matures, because it's still in the early days of UE5, obviously hope they fix those problems, like something major like that you see where stuttering happens, especially on the PC side, across the board. Let me ask you this, from the standpoint of from the maturation of Unreal Engine through different iterations, 3, 4, and now 5. Back in the day, would you say that back in the day there was a problem of diversity in the graphics, right? Everybody was kind of using the same set of graphics, and it all wound up looking, like I said, you could call out what games were Unreal.
You could call it see it a mile away. It became
mile
signature.
away.
Yes.
From what I've read and seen out of UE5, it does allow for a lot more diversity within
Yep.
graphics, a lot more creativity. Am I right in that? That
Oh
teams
no,
can
you
kind of do
you are
that?
absolutely right in that. And,
Yeah.
and my issues with my concern,
Yeah.
and let's be honest, it's a very minor concern, right?
Sure.
But my concern in this is not the mistakes of the past. It's
Right.
the stuff you don't foresee,
Right.
like shader compilation stutter, right?
Yes.
It's like when we are all a single point of failure, then when one thing happens that's a bug in the code in that specific engine, it propagates through hundreds and hundreds of games. That's the
Right.
problem,
Right.
right?
That is the major problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big issue, right? Yes, you're absolutely right. They've done a very good job, and this. Let me be absolutely clear. This is no short shrift towards Unreal Engine 5. I think like what Epic has been doing in this space is miraculous and amazing. I think their ability, the Nano Human project, is awesome. I am out here, a single man, a single gamer, standing up for more better looking Black people in games. Damn it! Stop giving me that Ubisoft BS that no, not even Ubisoft. I'm sorry, Square Enix BS. I'm looking at you there, Barrett. Absolute ridiculousness, right? So what they're doing in that space is elevating it, and everyone is now reaching new levels of quality because of what Unreal is the standard Unreal is setting, right? They're doing yeoman's work, as they say, God's work. So I take nothing away from them. My problem is when you put all your energy and all of it's like the entire world's entertainment being on YouTube. What if YouTube wakes up one morning and decides to pull the plug? You are screwed, right?
Yeah.
This is the problem. When every game is made on Unreal Engine 5, when issues arrive with Unreal Engine 5, every game is affected, right? And I want there to be diversity in vision. I want there to be diversity in style. And as much as we think Unreal Engine 5 has become like Spotify. You think all the music in the world is on there until you get out of Spotify and go, wow, there's more music on here than I thought, right?
Right.
Spotify has its place, but there's also things outside of it that aren't in Spotify that you forget when you spend too much time in Spotify.
Yeah. And this is a product, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, of the cost of development, because developing your own engine is so expensive.
Absolutely.
Especially for AAA games.
It's hard to find talent that can adapt to new in-house engines.
Right.
It's
like
easy to have exactly like the split space engine, of course.
Yep.
It's easy to have engines that become the industry standard that everyone can train on, that you can work from day one. You walk in, you know what you're doing, and you're off to the races. It makes sense that UE5 and UE as a standard is becoming the standard. It makes sense 100%. It makes sense that Microsoft is moving full bore in that direction. Like in Microsoft's case, I'm like, come on, man. You got all these other amazing engines, many of which are the basis of Unreal. Why don't you invest in yourself a bit more there? You got mad engines. Stop giving Epic so much money. But that's different because Microsoft is unique in that they have so many good engines, right? But in general, I get why the industry standard is that way. And and let's be real, Epic has done a good job here, right? If you're an indie studio, you have no reason not to use it until you hit 1 million and you're an indie. So those numbers that they're talking about are so future looking, you don't even see them. They're a future dream of yours. So until you hit those numbers, it's free and clear. You can just use your thing and they give you the best quality and all of that, right? So it's a great engine and they've done a great job. I'm just hoping that more diversity in the engines come about, because in the 360 days, like we said, there were very much signature when you saw them. But the good thing there as well was all these other publishers also brought forth different engines. So everything wasn't as formulaic. So you could tell when Unreal was used.
Right.
Because the others were different and you could see them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. Great breakdown. So we got some other questions too. I know we got a ton of questions in chat. So let me go ahead and get to some other ones here. Let me backtrack a little bit. Shout out to Mav dropping a bunch of great questions as well. Let me back up just a little bit. I saw some way up here. So shout out to Shonsu. He said Forza Horizon 5 passed 27 million player mark this week. Great question for Fuzz, man. Damn it, he's not here this week, but this would be great for him. But we'll do our best. He said, will we see the second DLC for Forza Horizon 5 anytime soon? So anybody want to take a shot on that? You, Pong?
Yeah, I think so. I think we see it at E3. personally. I think we get another second half potentially. Forza Horizon 5 DLC, and I think it would be a perfect spot for it, depending on when Motorsport launches and all that good stuff. But just assuming Motorsport is the first half. Again, they are both Forza, but they are completely separate genres within the racing genre. Two different audience. Well, there's some crossover, obviously. Just racing fans like me, I like both. I enjoy both. But I think that E3 would be a great spot to announce some new Forza 5 Horizon DLC for sure. And I think we get that second half. Um, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that, and it's due at this point. And I would like to get Fuzzy's take on it because Fuzzy obviously knows the internal working much better than I do. But to my point, I think it's due. So I think that's a great spot for it. So that's when we see it.
Great. No, I think so. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Asante. I do agree that E3 makes sense as far as when we get the update on that. Not sure. Like I said, I would love to hear Fuzz's breakdown because he'll get into the small details, nooks and crannies on all the stuff that they should show. Shout out to Fuzz. But Asante, anything you want to add to that?
No, I completely agree with Pong's take on it. I think it's about due. I think they're going to show it. They're going to show it soon. They will definitely make an E3 event of it. There are a few little dribs and drabs, if you will, of stories and announcements that are overdue. Right? What are they? There are rumors of an overhaul of the UI that's overdue. There are rumors of them taking the next step in the capture system that's overdue. A family Game Pass family plan. I suspect a lot of that is kind of being built up to throw these amazing news stories at you towards that E3 timeframe. I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We got another question too from Gabe. Shout out to Gabe, aka Cali Kid 619. He said, "Is there too much hype for Starfield, and is it replacing Halo as the franchise face of Xbox? Will the hype meet the expectations level?" Pong, take it away. I don't even think. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I defer
Gabe.
my time to Pong
yeah, I
Soul.
know, right? I think I'm gonna go ahead and forfeit my time to Pong as well on this one.
Thank you, brothers. I appreciate it. No, I'd love to hear your opinions on too. Because it's an interesting conversation, at least as the question that has popped up, because Jez actually proposed this on Twitter too. Does Starfield take over as the face of Xbox? So let me start here. No, there's not enough hype, Gabe, in my world. But again, I do come from a very biased world where Bethesda is my favorite studio. They produced my favorite games of all time in Oblivion, Skyrim, and Fallout 3. Fallout to a lesser degree than the Elder Scrolls series, but the Elder Scrolls series in general is my all-time franchise, my greatest all-time franchise, number one. So I am biased when I talk about this. But again, a lot of this always comes down to what I believe is people forget. Gamers have short term memories, as we all know. The fact that we don't get Bethesda titles from their A team on a regular basis, it is 5, 6, 7, 10 years now. We don't remember. People don't remember. Gamers don't remember how good Bethesda titles are. There's a reason why Skyrim is still played to this day. So no, I believe the hype is warranted for Starfield because it's coming from Todd, because it's his baby that he's dreamed about for 2 decades. I brought this up, I believe it was last week on the show, PTK, that if you honestly sit back and think about it, on top of it being Todd's baby for 2 decades, this is truly his first all original IP from the ground up. Him. He inherited Fallout. Yes, they changed the entire look, feel, everything about Fallout when it came over from In Exile, but they didn't inherit the lore. Elder Scrolls. He started with Bethesda when Daggerfall was just starting to finish up. He had a little part in the end of Daggerfall, according to him. So he inherited that. Yes, that's when he started his ascension, obviously with Morrowind, and then more so with Oblivion. But again, it was kind of inherited. It was already kind of pre-built there. This is his first IP from the ground up, lore all the way to game. So I think this makes it extra special. I have the utmost faith, obviously. Again, you can say Bugthesda, they've earned that name. But again, broken Skyrim on PS3, broken Skyrim, literally broken, got a 93 meta. Okay? There's a reason why Bethesda games are special. And so I believe the hype is warranted. Not for everybody. Not everybody plays them. Again, 40 million sold to Skyrim. Just like I always point out, not everybody's played Spider-Man, even though, obviously everybody would love for you to believe that everybody's played and loved Spider-Man. 30 million sold out of 150 million customers. That's not 100% sell through. Okay. Same thing goes here. But for me, the hype is generated. Now, the bigger question, and I want your guys' input on this too, because it's an interesting question. Does Starfield become the new face of Xbox? Short term, yes. Long term, because we're not going to see another Starfield for potentially 15 years or more? No. You need a game that becomes the face of a brand like Xbox, has to be on a regular cadence, has to have some type of regular, goings on, new games coming out, that kind of stuff. Now, could it be one of the big, obviously, IP for Xbox? Could it be that system seller? Absolutely, of course it could be. Is it going to be played for 10 or more years? Absolutely, it could be. Could they come out with a Starfield MMO, which again increases its stature? Absolutely, they could. But Halo became the face of Xbox because you had regular Halo games, right? You had that regular cadence of Halo games. Starfield's going to come. People are, however big it is how big it's going to be. People are going to continue to play it. But eventually, that fan base, the amount of people playing it is going to get shrink down to its core fan base, which always happens. And again, there's ways that it'll expand it out. Mods can come out. DLC can come out. You'll see that ebb and flow. But overall, it's just going to be a major, major IP that, yes, when people talk about Xbox, they're going to say Halo, and potentially, the next one down the list could be Starfield. Right now, probably be Gears, maybe, for most people. You know what I'm saying? Could Starfield slide into that second slot? Absolutely, it could. But Halo, I think, will remain the face of the franchise overall that people know when somebody says Xbox. But I want to hear both of your thoughts on this too.
I guess I'll go as far as the face of the franchise. I do like your analysis of saying short term, possibly. I do like that consideration that it could be possibly. Yeah, I mean, if the game hits like it could hit, it could quite possibly be a generational game, and I think that nothing short of generational can be called or even compared to Halo, because that's exactly what Halo was. Now, Halo, a lot of parts. So, if we're being honest about Halo, Halo was a very, very special game. Not to take credit away from Halo, but it also came at a very unique period of time in video game history.
Correct.
Like Halo changed like core video games. Like it changed multiplayer, like the way we play multiplayer video games. Like it changed all of that. So it came with a very unique period of time as well. That did aid Halo, but Halo was phenomenal. Like it stands on its own. I don't want to take any credit away from that. So it has. I mean, if we're gonna compare it to Halo, it has to be nothing short of generational. Like nothing short of generational. Could it be? Possibly. Now, does that mean it's the face of Xbox? Absolutely not. Because Chief doesn't just stand for, like, Chief's not just a video game, right? Like he's the mascot of the brand. Like, you know what I mean? The brand, like he carried the brand for a very long time. He's synonymous with Xbox. That doesn't happen through just being a great video game. Part of that happens through being a great video game, but that takes there's a lot of different things that kind of build into that. So I don't think it'll be long term the face of Xbox, but I do think for a period of time it can be the best game available for Xbox to play on Xbox. I do think it can be that for a period of time.
So quickly, my take on it is a little off. It's not even necessarily that whether Starfield can be or can't be.
It doesn't need to be either, really. I mean,
yeah, to me, it's that Microsoft is finally open for there to be a new face of Xbox. That's what's surprising to me, because for a long time, they made it Halo. It was Halo. It's on the box. If they needed to delay it, they would delay it. They put the money in the marketing into it. Some people complain about their marketing, how the marketing is done these days. They should spend more dollars. You should see more emphasis or more effort, right? In Halo, you see it. It's on Mountain Dew cans. It's on cereal boxes. It's everywhere. They've done that, right? And you could tell that they knew that that's what their public wanted, and that's what Phil wanted. Like he held it at the height it deserved to be held, and it deserves that, right? But now, based on some of the decisions we've seen made and seen them mothballing the campaign section of it and all of that, and agreeing to basically let the dust settle on the franchise for a while, right? They'll still keep pumping out great content as they should on the multiplayer side, but they're gonna like let it breathe for a little while. That tells me that they're now in a phase of no secret cows, right? No sacred cows, as they say. There is no one franchise that they'll say whatever we need to do to keep it at the height of heights, we're going to do that. They saw that at this point it looked like they were doing harm to the brand, so they're pumping their brakes on it and allowing others to potentially, take the spotlight for a while. That's surprising to me, right? That is very surprising to me. I always thought that as long as Xbox was Xbox, they would always, part and parcel of that with Halo, right? And now here we are in a place where Halo is basically being, at least from a on the box first person, as we've known it, it's being put out to pasture a little bit, and we haven't heard from Gears in a while, right? Sacred cows, they're all going. It's almost like they're clearing the decks because they know COD is going to replace it or something of its ilk. They're open to those new potential experiences, and that's very interesting to me. More than whether Starfield itself will be the replacement, because as you guys have said, it's inherently a single player game in its current form as we know it. Obviously there will be more growth there, but Microsoft and Xbox in general tend to be very much in a live service, let's keep the game going kind of mode. And Starfield not being necessarily that may be the reason why it doesn't fulfill that, that moniker of friend, what do you call it, flagship of the platform. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the fact that there is potential that any new flagship can be presented, that is super interesting to find ourselves in with Xbox, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that. Real quick to pick PTK.
Yeah, sure.
Louis Huze, I got to shout you out. Thank you for the correction, sir. I do that all the time. I always say in exile, and I mean interplay. So thank you for correcting me again. The old brain does not. It's filled to capacity. It's overfilled, right? I'm like Johnny Mnemonic back in the day, Keanu Reeves, and my brain at this point, at this age, is seeping. Okay, so sometimes I do that when I'm speaking. So thank you for the correction. Interplay is the one who sold the Fallout series to Bethesda. My fault. I apologize for that. I think it was some. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody remembers, but I think it was some ridiculous amount, like 5 million, 2 million, 3 million, something like that. Some ridiculous small amount that.
Yeah, it was a very small amount in hindsight. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Crazy. But no, thank you for that. I do appreciate when the chat does that because I say things like that all the time. In exile, I always do that.
Yeah, shout out to chat too. I want to make sure I get to this super chat. So shout out to Clutchman01 for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. He said, everybody share this out. Don't have Twitter, but I can still give it a like. This should have 3-digit viewer numbers. Then check out LV1 Gaming too. Shout out to everybody at LV1 Gaming, Fame, everybody over there at LV1. And thank you once again for the super chat. So I think we got time for one more question from the chat, and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up here at the Shop Podcast. It has been a phenomenal show. So what do you guys want to wrap it up with? Let me see if we got anything. We got one more time for a question. Let me see. Do we have any we can grab? Let's see. Let's see if we have any. Let's see. So once again, let's see. I know we talked about UE5 kind of. Okay, this will be a fun one. So shout out to Chris Jones. He said, what 4 video game characters are on your Mount Rushmore in your opinion? This is fun to end the show to kind of wrap things up with, and we will start this. We're throwing this on you right away, Asante. Cold, no warm up, not much thought about. Yeah, not much thought about it. 4. That is it, brother. Mount Rushmore. Chad, let us know, what does your Mount Rushmore look like, Chad? I love this. This is fun.
4. That's difficult.
4. That's it. 4.
The first one's easy. That's Master Chief. That's easy for me. Like the OG Xbox, really changed a lot of things for me, both video game wise and my career. So it kind of really put me on a different path. So I would say Master Chief is definitely 1. So I have 3. Mario. Like for just the
okay,
character of
yeah.
Mario, right? That really is also a special character for me. If I don't say the next one, like Everborn Saga will somewhere spit at someone and slap somebody in New York City and not know why. Sonic the Hedgehog, that's another character. So we got let's see, because these are, to me, these are characters with their games that literally shaped who I eventually became as a gamer. So let's see, we have Master Chief, Mario, and Sonic, right? And let's see, what else? What else? One character. Now would this be a cheat? Because it's not a character necessarily, but I think it is a platform and or franchise that, like, it may be very well the last game I play on this earth, as it was one of the first games I played when I was born. So I think it deserves its place in any list, and that is any form of Tetris.
Okay.
Any
No,
form of
fair.
Tetris, because the first Game Boy that I had Tetris on it. I played years of that game, and still to this day, there's a chance that a new Tetris will come out and it will become Game of the Year, like it almost did with Tetris Connect. Right? It still exists. So
it's a fair play. I thought about saying some type of Pong paddle on there because it started everything. But
so you think I'm cheating? I'm cheating?
No.
This is your list. No. Once again, this is your list. Your four.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
I'll stick with it. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Exact same. Except that instead of Tetris, I put Pac-Man. So Master Chief, Mario, Sonic, and Pac-Man, characters that all changed the industry at one point or another.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, I don't disagree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So mine is very, very, very similar lists. I will replace Tetris and I will replace Pac-Man as well, but I do have the other three: Master Chief, Mario, and Sonic. Like you said, I do know those. My last one would be Link.
Okay. So you throw up Zelda.
So Zelda's Ocarina of Time, my favorite video game period of all time. So holds a very special place in my heart. So I do have those four, and I think that was a phenomenal question. And shout out to Fuzz coming in here late. I saw Fuzz in chat. What's up, brother? He said he's listening on the way home. Man, I hope you caught the show. Hope you had a good time.
Split Mario and Zelda down the middle and kind of do a meld, like a half and half face on that Mount Rushmore.
See, and Fuzzy agrees with me. He says Sonic, Mario, Pac-Man, and a Tetris piece. That's what's up.
Yep, there you go. There you go.
There you go. So it looks like we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up on that note, man. It's been a phenomenal show. Shout out to Fuzz, shout out to everybody coming through, showing love, all the super chats, man. If you want to be a member, you can go ahead and hit that join button, man. Be a member, get some cool emojis, some cool things. I'm actually adding some more emojis here pretty soon, so shoot me some ideas, anything you guys want to do, something fun for you guys supporting the Shop Podcast here. But another show in the bags, man. I hope you guys had a phenomenal time. Before our guest gets out of here, I got to make sure I show the proper amount of love and respect, man. K Asante, appreciate you coming through, blessing us here at the Shop Podcast, blessing our chat and our audience here live today, and everybody watching in the future. With another phenomenal show. Great takes. Always love having you on. One of my truly favorite people in gaming, just in general. I watch you, I follow you, I make sure I try and do my best to support everything you're doing. Shout out to Everborn as well, everybody over at Gaming Circle, man. But let everybody know in chat where they can find you, and glad to have you on once again, brother.
Oh, I appreciate it. And same to you, sir. When we were a small channel, you brought me on here. You welcomed me with with open arms, and as we're growing, you continue to show love, and I appreciate that. We will definitely be having you on GCP very soon. Yes, we'll be doing that. No, I definitely appreciate the continued support from your community, and the gaming community at large. I really appreciate, getting a chance to chop it up with Mr. Pong Soul. We don't get to do that enough. It's unfortunate, that we don't. But we will try this year to solve that problem as well. We'll try and do some collaborations. It'll be fun to do that. But no,
Steel keeps talking about it. So
man. I think it's awesome that we support each other as we do in this community. We had some fun this week on the Gaming Circle. We had Doom Cutie from the
Shout
Xbox
out to
Infinite show up.
She's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
She's amazing. Yeah.
I felt bad, and I always feel bad. Like my Australian brethren, I always want to invite them on the shows, but then they gotta bend over backwards and be awake like at the all hours of night just to be on the show. I want to get Special Nick and all of them on the show, but it's just so difficult. And she braved it. We did a 3-hour stretch at the time. She was yawning. It was time for her to go to bed. I appreciate her for being there, and of course, King David was also part of the festivities this week. So it was real fun. I appreciate them for being out. So come check us out if you haven't already. Gaming Circle Podcast. Search it out in the YouTube feed. I always say on the show, we start you off right on a Saturday morning, and if you need a little bit more, you know who to go to, right? Living Split Screen is always going for like 4.5, 5 hours.
Yep.
Y'all are
we
crazy.
went 4.5 this morning. 4.5.
And I even finish what I'm doing. I clean it up, put it up on the channels, and then I sign in and watch the show with the rest of the rest of the community. So I appreciate all y'all. It's the community. We enjoy doing that. So until I'm back on here again, if you don't see me on the show, you will see me in the chat for sure, as I tend to be there. So thank you all once again for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate you as well. Once again, you guys will see me very soon. You guys will see me and Asante very, very soon. So shout out to him. Shout out to Everborn as well, man. All of the socials are down in the description below. The link tree is in there. I made sure Asante, all of that's down there below, linked properly, nice and buttoned up so everybody can see it. We'll make it real easy on them. So once again, go please show the support and the love, because every time we get a guest on here, they take their time out and give us a great show, give us great takes and great energy. So we appreciate you, brother, man. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Mr. Pong Soul, the Battery of the Shop podcast. Another show in the books, man. Another great week, brother. I appreciate you every week for being consistent, always bringing the energy no matter what's going on, bro. But let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I expect the will to be rewritten tomorrow, where I move up a slot above Fuzzy since he flaked out on us tonight. Shout out to Fuzzy. So make sure that happens though, PTK. So because I was here and Fuzzy wasn't. Hey, Fuzzy. Yeah. No, I'm just joking. Shout out to Fuzzy. We missed him tonight. Again, you guys, PTK and Fuzzy are two of my favorite people to podcast with, obviously, and being here every Saturday night. I miss him. But we did have the great Kay Asante to fill that big hole, and he did so. Pause. So thank you, Kay Asante, for being here, sir. Again, always an honor and a pleasure to be on with you. And, of course, shout out to Everborn.
Man, come on now. That was a bad pause. That was a bad pause.
I didn't want to say anything. I was really trying to hold off Asante. I really was. I was like, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm hopefully nobody even says anything.
That was below the belt, literally. Come on now.
Oh man, no, but shout out to you and Everborn in the Gaming Circle podcast, and appreciate the kind words, sir. Again, we are the Saturday morning brothers in arms over there between the two of us, and again, we always shout out your show, and you guys shout out ours, and we appreciate that. You can find me Pongsol on Xbox, Pongsol on Twitter. You guys all know that. Next week, special week next week. Obviously it starts off Tuesdays, Xbox Factor podcast, whether I'm there or not, which is more times than not there at all because real life, but it doesn't matter. Boomstick is the man. Double Barrel Gaming is the place to be. 5 days a week, you're getting content out of that crazy human being over there, but he is one of the best in the community. So Xbox Factor podcast every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Great show for all the good things green over there. Wednesday, special day, hype. The hype levels are off the charts. I can't wait to see some Redfall, some Forza, some Minecraft Legends, even ESO. Please, guys, announce that I can transfer my character from PlayStation over to Xbox. I will be back on ESO in a heartbeat. Maybe a special announcement there. But I'm hyped, and we're going to be doing it live on Fun Speculations channel. We're going to go live about maybe a half hour before the show. I have worked it out. I'm working from home that day, so I am going to be there. We got a full panel. It's going to be fun. Steel is going to be there, so everybody's going to be doing, a lot of people are going to be doing live shows that day. But again, if you want to drop on into the Fun Speculation channel, we are going to have a great time. You're going to see a lot of excitement for that showcase. So be there on Wednesday. Thursday night, Mav and I are back at it. PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. It'll be a 2-man show this week. Again, if you missed this week's show, go check it out because we had the man with a million, Randall Thor, on. We had some great conversations. Rand did not pull any punches. Again, he's Xbox through and through, but he had some good words for everybody about the Halo situation. We talked Starfield. We did all that. So, but it'll be back to me and Mav this week. And of course, we will have a post-game report on the developer direct from Wednesday. Plus, I'm sure we'll be getting some more news this week as well, as always. That's PM in the PM on Fun Speculations channel on Thursday. And then back at it, Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculations channel Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. We have a great freaking time there. We laugh a ton. We go a lot of sideways. But guess what? We do talk gaming news and Xbox news. So be there Friday nights. Again, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. And then Saturday mornings, it is living split screen, 3+ hours. Again, I'm not going to say 4 because there's some weeks where we have stuff going on. But generally speaking, if Steele and I got nothing going on, it's 4+ hours every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time, living split screen, all one word. We are on our march to 1K. Steele has raised the bar. We want to hit 3K by the end of the year, so we need some help. So bring a friend, tell a friend, come on over, check us out. Whether it's you got 2 tabs up like I used to do all the time when the pandemic was going on, or whatever the case may be is, and you want to listen to Gaming Circle and have us up at the same time, whatever you do, we appreciate you. Drop on in and check us out. We have a great time every Saturday morning, and then I'll be back here next Saturday night, God willing. But otherwise, folks, it is the golden age of gaming. I can't point it out more times than I already do, so I hope you're enjoying this because, man, what a time to be a gamer, and we're just kicking off 2023. Probably going to go down in history as one of the greatest years ever for video games, potentially the greatest year content-wise. So enjoy it. Get out there this weekend. Play what you love what you play. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you all real soon. PTK, get us out of here, brother. PTK.
Oh,
You're
sorry
muted.
about that. No, I'm sorry about that. I am muted. I do apologize, but I missed my cue there. There goes my check for the week, Asante.
Again, y'all get paid?
Again,
What?
Yeah, man. There goes my check for the week, man. But no. Shout out to everybody watching live, man. Last but not least, your boy PTK Blam. You know where to find me across the board, namely on Twitter, everything Chop Podcast related. Hit me up on Xbox Live if you want to play some games. I will be on playing something tonight. Not entirely sure. I got to download Monster Hunter Rise, so I'm probably going to do that. So that's probably what I'll do tonight. But shout out to everybody watching live. We will have another guest next week. Next week is a very, very, very special week. Once again, we got that developer direct. So I am so much looking forward to everything coming out of that. It's a big week for Xbox, so I'm super hyped, right? So this is the biggest thing we're getting probably up until E3, so I'm super hyped for this. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. See you guys next week. Peace out, everybody.